a discussion that will be worth in poetry. I'm going to cover another poem in Daughter of Nature, and I hope that you benefited from the previous discussion in which we discussed a poem, Money, and we also came and discussed another poem, With You. Now I'm going to focus on one poem, My Dream, by Rehema Kwamboka Arege. Did you actually get to find the anthology of poems and interact with the poems in this book? So don't worry, if you didn't, then I'll be showing you the poem as I read. Then after that, we'll have a discussion. Yeah, so thank you for staying put. Let me go on edutainment for us. I hope you subscribe to the channel. If you've not, consider subscribing to it. And I would actually wish that you give us comments that will be critical. If you don't actually like what you're doing, you have no business coming to this part. But if you actually have interest in Daughter of Nature, then come by. So the poem is here, and I'm going to show you as I read. Are you seeing it? It's actually a problem to get it clear because of the space here. But I hope it will be clear soon. Yeah, it's now clear. My Dream by Rehema Kwamboka Arege. I have a dream, a wonderful dream. I woke up in a corrupt, free country. There were no diseases. There was no corruption. There were no thieves. There was no pollution. Everything was clean. There was no dirt anywhere. The trees were never cut, and the animals lived happily. The rivers were clean, as were the lakes, oceans, and seas. If our country was like that, we would all live happily. If the world was like that, we would all live without a worry. Floods, droughts, and famines would be things of the past. Let us do our bit. Keep the world clean. Keys to safe and healthy living. Yeah, so this poem is actually written by Rehema Kwamboka, and it focuses on the desire to have a clean world, yeah? A clean world that is free from corruption, free from pollution, free from diseases, free from thieves, free from pollution, and everything else. So the persona is someone who is tired with the situation in which we have a lot of messes, starting from corruption to the general environment, and therefore the persona feels like things should change and the world should be better. So now let's look deeply into the lines and discuss the styles in this poem. So of course, when we look at the poem, we can see repetition, dream. The word dream has been repeated. We can also see there is parallelism. Yeah, there was no. Yeah, so that one is parallelism, because the sentences, or rather the lines, are starting in the same way, then changing later. We can also call it anaphora, A-N-A-P-H-O-R-A, anaphora. So we have anaphora in this poem because it is starting with there were. There's also a place they are starting with there was, right? Now, there is also the aspect of if the world, if our country. So again, that one is anaphora. We have alliteration. When you look at stanza 1, 2, 3, you can see corrupt country. The sound has been repeated within the same line. We also have alteration in stanza 5. If the word was, woo, the sound woo has been repeated in line 1 of stanza 5. We also have stanza 5, line 2, we would. You can actually hear that, and it goes on later, without worry. We also have assonance. If you look closely in this poem, you can see assonance, right? Yeah. Animals happily. That is stanza 3, line 4. You can see that is a vowel sound. Yeah. And if you check properly, another assonance comes here. There. No, that one, no. We have some sort of rhyme, though it's not regular, but in some parts of the poem we have rhyme, which you can identify. Like in stanza 2, corruption, pollution, diseases, thieves. Yeah, so that is a rhyme in stanza 2. Diseases, thieves, corruption, and pollution. Football edits. Okay. Then we have, let me look here again and see the style that has been used. Keys and living, that is assonance, right? Thank you for the like. I appreciate that very much. I can also see that the persona is using a tone of, admiration, because the persona admires a world where everything will be clean. So no dirt, including corruption, thieves, pollution, diseases. They expect that this will not be there in their world. Yeah? So, of course, if you're asked about the character traits of the persona, then you would rather say it's somebody who is a perfectionist, but then you consider the aspect of why the persona is saying this, then we can say caring. Caring because this person does not like a dirty environment. They want the rivers clean, the lakes, oceans, and seas. Yeah? They want somewhere where everybody will be happy. Yeah. They want a place where there are no thieves, there is no pollution. So we can also say outspoken because the persona talks about everything. We can as well say the persona is critical, or rather using a critical tone to communicate the desires. Yeah. Then the mood, of course, is expectant mood, because there is expectation of what should happen, right? Now, is there anything else actually you would wish to know from this poem? I will ask you, so that in case you need any more analysis about the poem My Dream, then you will actually share. Now, what is your dream? In case I told you to write a poem on my dream, what would be your dream? What is your dream about life, about everything around you? Is everything happening around you okay? And would you want it to remain as it is, or do you want some things changed? Do you wish like there should be no something? And what is your wish like once this something is not there? What will be there for you? Yeah. So to apply a poem into our lives, now we should also ask ourselves, what is our dream? And once we ask ourselves about our dreams, then we imagine, if we have dreams, what are these things that we would wish to have? And what are these things that we would wish not to have? And what would be there if these things were available? And what could it be for everybody else if what we want is provided? So welcome on board those who are coming live. I'm so appreciative of your presence, because without you, then my content wouldn't be relevant at all. I'm so happy when I see you coming on board, and it encourages me to keep going. Yeah, so you don't know what it means by your presence. Yeah, I'm really appreciative. Yeah, so I was looking at this part of lived happily, and the animals lived happily. Most times animals don't even, I don't know whether they understand they are living. I feel there is personification here. Yeah. Uh-huh. The other thing is everything was clean, the rivers were clean, and were the lakes and oceans and seas. If our country was like that, we would all live happily. I feel there is Enjambe. We call it Enjambe, but when we write it, it is ENJAMBMENT. That is the broken lines. Like you would have to read like from the beginning up to the end for you to get the message. Like here, you can say the rivers were clean, and as lakes were, and oceans and seas. If our country was like that, we would all live happily. It will force you to read like this. The rivers were clean, as were the lakes, oceans, and seas. If our country was like that, we would all live happily. So are you saying that there was some breaking, but if you're reading, you have to read the entire? So that is what I call Enjambe. Let us do our bit. So advisor in tone again comes here, because the persona actually is telling all of us. And that part also would bring to you a style known as direct address. It means the persona is addressing us. Yeah, let us do our bit. Keep the word clean. Keep, clean. That one is assonance again. Yeah. So I think I've done everything about this poem. So let's meet again in another session, discussing something different from what I've done here. Thank you for coming on board. I really appreciate your presence. Amina Roda, hi. You just come when we're finishing. I hope you got what we were discussing, but I'll be coming back soon for something else in a different area. I was discussing a poem that is known as Dream by Kwamboka. And of course, I've covered the meaning, the tone, the intonation within some parts, the mood, attitude, and general style.